When choosing a projector for a home theater, we often make mistakes. We spend 200, 300, 600,000 rubles, and in the end, we bring it home, set it up, and are dissatisfied, ending up with some junk and not understanding what went wrong. In this video, I will discuss the main mistakes that we make, and at the end, there will be the most common one. Stay tuned until the end. Let's go. The first mistake is to see a beautiful, large, heavy projector with a high lumen brightness and good contrast, and then buy it without checking that it was actually designed for professional installations, like in the Kremlin for light mapping on walls, and to work around the clock to serve you faithfully. But it's not meant for home cinema. People buy an office projector that lacks color accuracy and contrast, and then they wonder why they don't want to turn it on to watch their favorite movie. They think, I'll buy an expensive one. It should be enough for watching movies. They buy an office projector that lacks color accuracy and contrast, and then they wonder why they don't want to turn it on at all to watch their favorite movie, and there are a whole range of niches and areas for which projection equipment is produced. There are ultra-compact ones for some kind of mobility, office ones for showing slides, and professional ones for displaying the same slides on large screens even when the lights are on. There are huge cinema projectors that show you sample films in public theaters, but you need a projector specifically designed for home cinema. Each manufacturer that makes them has a separate line on their website for home cinema or home theaters. The next mistake is related to the size of the projector. If you want a real projector for home cinema and you have a budget for it, it would be a mistake to chase compactness for sizes that you think are not that important. But what are the dimensions? They involve optics, electronics, and the cooling system. And in general, the principle on which the projector itself is based, its optical block, matrices, and everything else. That is, the very technology by which projection is organized. This is precisely the technology for transmitting projected images, and in the most compact version, of which there are quite a few, only certain types of technologies fit. Accordingly, with sufficient cooling and with certain optical capabilities, the more compact the projector, the more likely it will be DLP. DLP is one of the technologies that are indeed used in projectors for home cinema. DLP, 3LCD, LCOS with their variations. DLP projectors, as you probably know since you are already choosing a projector for home cinema, are famous for having a not very good rainbow effect. When you move your head like this over a high contrast image and see halos around various objects, not everyone will like it. Not everyone sees it, but those who do usually see it and cannot forget it. And it doesn't always transfer the most important thing. And these compact projectors, they are all DLP. Everything mainly has a color wheel, which is why there is this rainbow effect, etc. Well, again, you lose the ability for a large optical shift, high quality optics, to achieve a clearer image across the entire screen. And you lose the ability to get a very, very bright image because it will simply be impossible to cool such an optical block in such a small case, which will produce a large amount of brightness for your huge screen. Well, if you are looking for a projector for a screen, say 4 to 5 meters wide, therefore pursuing compactness, just for the sake of compactness, is unreasonable. If you have no choice and you really need a compact projector, you simply have no place to hang a heavier one, no place to put it, there is no room for it, then you will have to accept these limitations. Therefore, there are no options, and you need to choose among compact models. But when you have the freedom, so to speak, to hang anything from the ceiling, to place a good large projector on a tall stand, and you are really pursuing image quality in home cinema, then you need to consider devices that will be larger and accordingly heavier. That is, weight usually goes hand in hand with the size of the device. The next mistake is that you often compare models when choosing them online, based on brightness, and this brightness is sometimes indicated differently. There is brightness simply in lumens, and there is brightness in ANSI lumens. These parameters are often not strongly related and do not correlate. There are certain standardized methods for measuring brightness in ANSI lumens. And in all professional projectors for home cinema, it is specifically indicated, and if you compare ANSI lumens, you will most likely get a correct comparison. But if you are looking at some small LED device with an LED light source and comparing it to a professional home cinema projector, here it will be 1800 lumens and there 1800 lumens. Most likely this compact one indicates it in a cunning marketing way, and it will actually be 2.5 times less. Therefore, pay very close attention to the brightness parameters indicated for each device. And the more Chinese this device is, the more likely everything will be embellished. When comparing this parameter, be sure to look for the note ANSI lumen. But if you compare with the Chinese devices, the cheaper they are, the more lies there will be. Therefore, buy Chinese products at your own risk. The next mistake is related to choosing a projector with insufficient brightness. And you will only find out about this after you have actually bought it, set it up, turned it on, and turned off the light. And you squint at the image, you want to just add a brightness knob, so to speak, to make it easier on the eyes. If your eyes strain because the picture is not bright enough, then you have chosen the wrong projector. So, either the mistake is again in the ANSI lumen parameter, or you simply miscalculated the screen size or its type altogether, the surface you are projecting onto. Because the grayer the wall or the gray screen is, the brighter the projector you will need to achieve the same light reflection coefficient from that surface. And here, in fact, there is such a rule. You should calculate approximately 300 ANSI lumens for each square meter of the screen. If you have, say, a 10 square meter screen, then you will need a projector with a brightness of at least 3000 ANSI lumens. The next parameter that goes hand in hand with brightness is contrast. This parameter is extremely important for a home theater projector. Brightness and contrast are two things that will be most noticeable to you. If there is not enough brightness, everything else doesn't matter because the human eye primarily reacts to brightness. It needs enough brightness to see all the other image parameters, but then the difference in the darkest part of the image, what the projector is capable of, is very important. The ratio of the brightest to the darkest is called contrast. And high-end home theater projectors are known for their very high image contrast. They allow you to see an image that is as close to life as possible. If it's black, you can see some details in the shadows. Twilight, then you see the twilight, you see some bright lights, and so on. But you don't see that all your dark elements are gray, as is often the case in public cinema. And here, there will be a significant difference between these compact DLP projectors and those using other technologies like 3LCD or LTOS, such as GVC, Sony, for example. They produce this deep black color very differently. The more expensive and powerful a projector is, typically the more robust and heavier it is, which means it uses a more professional technology for home cinema, and the deeper its black color will be. This is another important difference, so keep in mind that likely with a reduction in size, contrast will also decrease, and contrast is extremely important in home cinema. The next mistake is that you might buy a projector that simply won't fit your specific screen, which you have already mounted on the wall, and you have only one place to position the projector. You might just miss the so-called focal distance. This is the distance that allows the projector to project its image at a certain angle and create an image of a specific size on the screen. Often, especially in inexpensive compact projectors, this distance is fixed. That is, you cannot perform what is called zooming to increase or decrease the image on the screen or wall, and thus you may simply not fit within the screen boundaries that you wanted and envisioned for your home theater. Therefore, if the focal distance is fixed, pay very close attention when choosing a projector. You need to be able to move the projector back and forth so that it fills the entire screen. That's one. Secondly, you may simply miss the height because many projectors do not have what is called lens shift. That is, it only projects at a certain angle. You can either mount it, for example, at the lower edge of the screen or hang it at the upper edge of the screen. If you shift it, the image along with the projector will move up or down. And to return it back to the screen, you will have to geometrically adjust the projector like this, thus creating a distorted image and then correcting it digitally, which completely ruins the resolution in the entire picture. It's better not to do that. It is precisely these functions that professional projectors for home theaters always possess. Choosing a projector is only half the battle. A quarter of the battle is also selecting the right screen, the correct size, with the right material. Another half of the battle is actually the room where this entire system is installed. The next two mistakes are related to the fact that we usually chase after something. For example, parameters like 4K and laser projectors. Let's first break down the laser projector. For some reason, marketers have done it this way, and I fundamentally understand them well, that we all have in our heads that if it's laser, it means it's good. If it's lamp-based, then it's considered outdated. Not at all, friends. Both of these technologies have a right to exist, and you don't get some kind of laser light on the screen. The light will still be ordinary for you. It's just that the light source that provides the illumination, which then goes through various matrices and produces the image, is different. In one case, it's a gas discharge lamp, which, by the way, has a more natural light spectrum that resembles our sunlight, and then there is the laser. A laser or their set which shines either on some rotating wheel or simply on a phosphor. It already glows and provides that same white light, but its spectrum is slightly different. Often this is noticeable during calibration. It initially has a more greenish tint, and sometimes it's even harder to calibrate such a projector. Yes, a laser projector has an undeniable advantage. It turns on faster, turns off faster, and doesn't drain as quickly as a lamp. But how fast is that? For a professional projector, 2,000 to 3,000 hours is typically about 2 years of life with fairly intensive use in a home theater. A laser projector, on the other hand, will start to decline after 20,000 fast hours. But the cost of a lamp usually reaches 10 to 15% of the original projector's price. Laser projectors, on the other hand, are inherently more expensive, with large, very bright lamp models from the cost of the original projectors, while laser projectors are inherently significantly more expensive at times. Here, the GVC has changed generations. In fee, they are now 1.5 times more expensive. Yes, they have become brighter, but excuse me, they were already quite expensive. And suddenly laser models, they all go bang, 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 and now customers are forced to spend more to see almost the same light in their home theater. Therefore, laser is not a panacea. It is new, it has its advantages, but it also has its disadvantages. And lamps are still being sold, and you can buy them. If you look at such a projector, even if you decide to purchase it, you will easily find the lamps for it. Therefore, you just need to assess soberly what will be the optimal option for you. And you shouldn't say that if it's not laser, then it's all complete garbage. No, not at all. The next point we are chasing is 4K image. I will reveal a little secret to you. Most inexpensive, 4K projectors that accept a 4K signal carry, a 4K DLP chip, and so on. In reality, it is not 4K. A special technology of fast pixel shifting diagonally, or something similar, is used there so that you actually see more pixels on the screen. But the matrix itself that processes this light is not 4K. It is smaller. And only native 4K matrices are found in such devices that are professional setups for home cinema. Often, for example, when we talk about the Epson LCD projector, it actually has a regular full HD matrix, which includes this fast pixel shifting. They also accept a 4K signal at the input, but in fact the image will just be a bit sharper, and the pixel grid on the screen will be slightly smaller. And in fact, it will be more pleasant, but this is not native 4K. If you have insufficient brightness and contrast, you won't see the difference between 4K and Full HD at all. And good Full HD projectors, or 2K projectors, which are often used in public cinemas, if they are properly set up with a very well-adjusted focus, will give you an amazing picture. That resolution will also be sufficient for you. So 4K is great, but only if it is native and implemented correctly. And if you sit close enough to the screen, you will actually see the difference between Full HD and 4K. Therefore, there is no point in chasing after 4K. And the last mistake is simply not buying a projector at all. If you are a true connoisseur of home cinema and have been accustomed since childhood to what real cinema is, which is always a movie theater, always a projector, and always a projection screen, then watching a movie on an OLED TV, even the best and largest one, I believe, would be a crime against the cinema envisioned by the Lumiere brothers. By the way, I visited their museum in Lyon. It was very educational, and I highly recommend it. It is all about projected images and specifically about projection screens. The magic of cinema, I think, lies in being able to see at home what you have seen since childhood and now enjoy the same immersive effect in the comfort of your home on a huge screen with amazing sound, experiencing that pleasant reflected light from the screen rather than those eye-burning pixels, especially in the dark when you watch TV. Like this video if you found it interesting, and friends, write in the comments which projector you consider to be the most optimal based on the parameters we discussed today, where people like us often make mistakes when choosing a projector for a home theater. What model is it? I sometimes struggle with this. I often get asked what to buy and what a budget option would be. To be honest, I am always drawn to those because they are usually good. But let's discuss budget options. Write in the comments right now which model you recommend buying. Be sure to subscribe to the channel. There's a lot of cool content here related to home cinema, theaters, and screening rooms. Well, this was Anton, the founder of Blackroom. See you soon. Bye, everyone.